I had a dream where Josh Montoya, which was like the first real heavy death that I had in my life, he was my best friend. But I had a dream, and he asked me if I had deja vu. And I said, yeah, all the time. He's like, do you know what deja vu is? I said, what's that? And he goes, deja vu is the universe telling you that you're exactly where you're supposed to be at that exact moment in time. And at that moment, you're back on track for your destiny. So everything that happened before that, none of it was a mistake. It was all necessary stepping stones to get you right here, right now.
Typical shop. Yep, Brian's a different kid. You know, he was smart. I mean, he has a mind that creates things. My oldest son was big into hockey. I played hockey my whole life. Brian got into hockey, and a couple of years into it, he was really good. But he just didn't like the team thing. I mean, he was fighting kids at practice because they weren't doing the drills right, at like 7 years old. He didn't like that, so we got him into motocross, which I also did. He loved it because it was just him. If he made a mistake, it was him. If he won, it was him. And that's Brian. Yeah, he's a special kid, man. Both my boys, like I said, you know, my boys have been my life ever since they were born. You know, we went fishing every weekend. If we weren't doing fishing, we were doing motocross, we were doing hockey, we were doing building cars, building boats, something. But we were always together. I mean, I supported him, obviously, with everything he did, but this is Brian. This is the original prototype. First one that ever showed up, and let me tell you something. This showed up, there was a lot of tears going on. They were my life. And they still are, obviously. You know, we share a property together. We got 2 houses here and a 2,000 square foot shop on the lake. You know, and then we still build, obviously, we're still building hot rods and yeah.
Dad raised us to be good to each other, you know what I mean? We've never fought, which is surprising because both of us were pretty savage dudes growing up. So
I think I'm a little more unstructured, for sure. Sit down, get a beer, and make a game plan.
I was always a bit of a hustler. I mean, looking back on it, there was always a way that we could make money. It was almost like an annoying thing to my friends, though. It was always everything but go to work, you know, until I had to, you know. But as soon as I went to work and started seeing consistent paychecks, I was like, all right, I could do this. This is cool. Trucking was my big thing, you know. Worked a bunch of different construction jobs and labor jobs and stuff coming up, but the big one hit when I started at Nuna. That just came out of an injury on the North Slope. You know, I went to my bosses up there and was like, look, why don't you get this? And I wouldn't have got hurt, you know, and he was like, done, you know, let me look for it, we'll order it. And it wasn't out, but I knew exactly what it was. I knew what the insides looked, I knew how it was gonna work, how to pull it off, but it had never existed. Then I ended up going to the Alaskan economic development groups and stuff because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, you know. They helped out, taught me how to do a business plan, and next thing you know, I get a shop from the state, and that's when I wanted to build the Lumaski. We ended up having Air National Guard come in and talk to me because they wanted to talk about the fuel transfer system that I was building at the time. They saw the boat sitting there and they were like, what's that? You know, and I'm like, it's just an aluminum personal watercraft that I'm building pretty much to go up crazy rivers and rapids. And they said that they wanted that. They're like, we want that. I remember they left and I ended up calling a couple of guys at the time that I looked up to pretty heavily and was like, I am pretty sure I just accidentally started a company. Then I was like, hey, maybe I'm an inventor, maybe I'm a business guy, so.
Bottom line is he comes to me and he goes, hey Pop, can you teach me how to weld aluminum? And I taught him how to weld aluminum and he built that himself. No plans or nothing, just right out of his head.
Made it with balsa wood sticks and refrigerator cardboard boxes first.
But during that whole time when he was struggling, none of us knew it. I mean, I'd come into town, I'd go over and visit those guys and bring pizza and sit with him and his daughters and watch movies, and just like everything was fine. But it wasn't fine, you know, so.
You said you don't think your story would be that interesting if you didn't live in Alaska. What do you mean by that?
I don't think that I would have been in an environment where I had seen as many people die as I have. Just the way that we live is a bit different. You tend to party a lot here. You know, the sun never goes down in the summer and it never comes up in the winter. So you're either during the winter inside depressed, drinking with buddies and stuff, or depressed. And then summers you're outside and there's no reason to go to sleep. But the depression and stuff really hit with people. You know, people would try to get away from it in different ways, and it didn't end up good for a lot of people. I don't know what it was about that whole end thing, you know, up into and just after Vegas massacre. You know, we were grown-ups now, you know, so it wasn't like stupid stuff that just we were, you know, kind of playing around with death and knew it and thought it was funny and cool and all that stuff. It was just freak accident after freak accident after freak accident. The people that you just didn't expect, like, there's no way. How? You know, there's no way. Those are the ones that really started to just chip away at me. And it was at the same time that I was starting a company that was in kind of like a wild new extreme industry that, you know, going up crazy rivers and doing crazy stuff. And the one thing I knew I could do is make it look like a really, really, really fun lifestyle. But at the same time, it was almost, you know, kind of, I don't know, dampening the pain. And it got to a point where I would rather be with the people that were gone than the people that were still here. Adrian noticed. He had a rough thing going too. He was very depressed at the time. He would come to my house and tell me to leave with him and go on these drives, and you know, I'd be like, I can't go, dude. Like, it's 2 a.m. and you're hammered, you know. And he would go, don't leave me alone on this. And I'd be like, okay, let's go. But I feel like he saw it a little bit that I wasn't doing so hot. In the move, you know, he tried to get a few of us together. Yeah, we're sitting at Eddie's Sports Bar, and I was like, no, dude, I can't go. Like, Erica will kill me if I just take off to Vegas or tell her I'm going to Vegas right now. Couldn't even afford it. I was broke. Didn't know what the hell I was going to do with my life, or if I even wanted to continue on. At the time, you know, pretty much lost my family. Majority of my friends are dead, you know. And so I ended up going to the bathroom and coming back, and he was like, I bought you everything, you're going. Gotta get you out of here, you know. So this was supposed to be a trip after, you know, we've lost some people and we're both going through some bad shit. It was to get out of Alaska and go see something positive and have fun, and getting to Vegas was the smile, you couldn't take it off his face. And it was just real. You know, I sat out there with him, and when the whole thing ended, I honestly, I mean, I was a zombie, but I remember almost being disappointed. Like, I'm sitting out here, you know, like I just remember really wanting to go with him. takes a while for all the actual mental effects and everything to really kick in. But I mean, I made my mind up, even that moment, that I just was going to kill myself. To sum it up, I mean, it took everything I had left. I hid it. I mean, I hid it from everybody. Social media is super powerful. Even when I was homeless, you know, my mom didn't know. Brother's got a beautiful family. He didn't need to. Didn't want him to. I lied to him. Probably worse than anybody. It was pretty much so everybody just stopped looking. Stopped worrying, stopped caring. But I made a choice, and I've been through enough of them that I knew that the easiest, I guess you could say, was the ones that were the suicides, where they were unexplainably happy. My suicide was a very long-term, thought-out plan. And that started with just getting everybody at ease with me, stop worrying about me, stop looking at it and stuff. So there at my funeral, it wasn't like, what could I have done better? It would be like, I didn't know, he was so happy. And I think after surviving it, I didn't think that I could feel worse than I did making the decision to do it. But when I woke up from it, that was it. I mean, I felt disgusted in myself, absolutely ashamed. I always took pride in being a good father, and that was the most unfatherly thing I could have done. There was nothing left. There was nothing left to lose at that point. That was absolute rock bottom. But then it was followed by this, well, fuck, I can't lose tomorrow because there's nothing but up from here. You know, so what am I gonna do? And I just went, and I went hard. Started at the bottom again, driving trucks, worked my way up, kept going, bought this house sight unseen. That was goal number one, get my kids a house. I made a decision at that point that it wasn't about me or anybody else but my kids. For when you're broken mentally like that, it causes you to become or look at yourself as what you need to protect your family from. So I knew I had to get better so they could be proud of me, and I knew that every hour counted.
When you're stuck in what they call quicksand, when you have PTSD and you just can't get out of a certain situation, you can't really find reasons to live, reasons to be happy. You kind of get away from everybody, isolate yourself. And you know, I was lucky enough to have some veterans take me under their wing, kind of teach me what I had, you know, what my triggers are, how to deal with it when it comes on and stuff like that. And one of them told me, he was like, you got to have a B to your A. There has to be somewhere that you're headed, that you're focused on, that you're passionate about in order to get out of the quicksand.
A lot of the stuff that I thought up was wild outdoors, on the river, quiet, you know. We're just taking drives and down dirt roads and out in the trees and taking stuff with, and then kind of like unpacking stuff and packing stuff up. Everything that I've invented was simply things that I wanted.
What was really cool is, like, you know, when we were harvesting our fish, you know, flaying them and packing them right there, and everybody coming up and, you know, seeing the stuff that we got laid out, you know. The best feeling out of the whole thing is just to see people actually using them and see them being helpful. Just like Brian said, all the products he's ever made is because it's something he wanted. Going through all the stuff, the struggles he went through, and then PacBak, I think, is what probably saved him.
I was going at entrepreneurship in a different way this time. I had so much more purpose. It was like, this is it. Like, I'm going to grind harder than anybody and gonna make this happen by all means possible, because my kids deserve it. Parents deserve it. My brother deserves it. And I knew that I had a good idea. I knew that it was worth chasing.
When we have an idea or we like something, we go after it until, we're gonna die trying to make it happen. And it was just which one of his ideas are gonna hit, And it was PacBak.
With your support for our Kickstarter, we're going to be able to launch products.
When the cooler idea came out and I started talking to people about it, it was pretty amazing because I knew I had another chance. I mean, when I was trucking, I would leave here on Monday and come back on Saturday. It was like sleeping in the back of my truck and stuff, trying to pick up every shift that I could. So PacBak, I knew it was just a really good idea. It was like working on that as much as I did, even though there was zero return and only take at the time, Like waking up every day was like I couldn't wait.
With his PTSD, which is pretty bad, there's times when he would come over and something bad would happen. And he'd just go, "Oh my God, Dad, this happened, and that's, I don't think I'm gonna come out of it." And, I'm more of a sounding board. He comes across, he comes next door and he just, and I just go, yeah. And then he looks at me every single time. He goes, "I gotta go next door and fix this. I gotta figure this out." And every single time he figures it out. Every time. Where most people would have quit, there's things that have happened where most people would have quit. And he didn't quit.
There's 900 total products here, the new product showcase.
The like open arms that an entire industry gave me was like, I made it. But I'm at the door and holy shit, I'm doing something.
The winner of Best of Show is the PacBak.
I was the definition of the guy that everybody was like, that guy's never gonna be anything. I think that aided me because it was always the people that were fairly close to me that thought the same or verbally told me they didn't believe in me, and I had this like kind of grueling thing in my stomach that was full of just fuck you. But it was kind of like a fuck you, watch me, I'm gonna make like the people that were proud of me, I'm gonna prove them right. When I decided I wanted to be here and stuff, obviously, you don't just decide to shut off PTSD. And that was really the hard part, was getting to know myself again. And it's like, okay, well, how do I do this? And first you have to figure out what you have. So I went to a couple counselors and they just didn't work. I just saw right through them right away. Previously, I was at a show and a guy came up to me, introduced himself and said, "Hey, like, come talk to us at the VA." And I did not take him up on it. I mean, this is a while later. This is like a year and some change later. Even though I knew I wanted to live, I had nothing, and all I had was PTSD. So I knew that he told me to go there, so I just went to the VA on Muldoon. But I was asking about a PTSD group, and they're like, "Do you have your vet card?" Like, I'm not a vet. I just want to talk to these guys because I need help. They wouldn't help, and then this older man named Jimmy came and talked to me and was like, "What's going on?" And I explained it to him, and he gave me his number and contact and everything and said, "Hey, we have some friends. I'll introduce you to some people." Kind of took me in, taught me what I had, how to deal with it, how to fall in love with yourself again, how to learn how to be yourself again, re-engagement with your family and not be so scared to be around people. These weren't just people that went to college and read some books. These guys have it, and they've been living with it. And Jimmy, they didn't have shit. He was an old timer. Sadly, he has passed. But like, if you hear his story, it was a weird combination of making me feel bad, but also feel not alone. Fishing for me, being outdoors for me, was one of the very therapeutic things where I could get away and everything was quiet. So the lodge was just an idea. It was kind of a thing that I was always going to build something that gave that opportunity to allow them to get away, get to a quiet space with a bunch of people that understood them. And the end goal, to be honest, is to have veterans that have PTSD mixed in with civilians that have PTSD, mass shooting survivors, school shootings, stuff like that. There's all sorts of different stuff, because I really think that they could help a lot of people like Jimmy helped me. One of our investors knew about this and also was very passionate about it, and he saw, that I wanted to do that, and I think he thought it was very admirable and presented a situation where he is now making that happen. There was moments where it's like, why am I working this hard? Why this? Why that? And you start thinking about how easy it would be. The only time I was actually happy was getting close to the time that I was going to kill myself. And I was just so relieved and just like, God, it's going to be over. Fuck, this is done. Even after I attempted, those thoughts plagued me quite often. And I started telling myself, it's like, every time I would think about it or want to do it or do something, I would just kind of tell myself, do it tomorrow or do it the next day. But we're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to give it fucking everything. And if something good doesn't happen, do it the next day, And I just kept telling myself that every day, and just, tomorrow never came. I live by that now, and I can't tell you how many times, even growing as much as I have in this journey, that I tell myself that constantly. And if you keep doing that consecutively, man, you hit these days that you just hit.
Hard work leads up to days like this. Don't ever give up. Give it one more day. Love you all. Thank you so much for the support.
PacBak has become something that has been awkwardly fulfilling, because it's once the really hard shit got out of the way, one of these days I just finally, it was crazy. I was just like, holy shit, this is my life. Work is not work to me now. It's hard. It takes a lot out of me. I have to sacrifice everything myself and my time. But there's moments that, you're on the water. Dude, you're talking to amazing people. You're walking into retailers and having these crazy conversations and getting to know all these business owners and doing co-ops. And you go like, man, this is our life now. Everything that has happened in my life was necessary for me to get exactly where I am right now and where I'm about to go. And where I'm about to go is going to help a lot of people. That's it, man. It's you owe everybody that. If you're having that situation or those thoughts going through your head, if you can't talk yourself into giving yourself one more day, just give your parents one more day. Give your kids one more day. Just give one more day.